uncles and aunts, cousins, nieces, nephews, and special friends of the class of 1988. It is, in a way, a sad moment and also a happy moment when I present seniors to the Board of Education for the purpose of issuing diplomas. It's a sad moment for the staff because a lot of friendships have developed over the past 3 years, and now we've come to a parting, which is that things will never be the same. We, as the staff of Osseo Senior High School, can only hope that we have prepared them to go on without us. And on the other side of the coin, we are very happy because they have reached the goal, they have completed the task. Some because of us, others in spite of us. This class of 1988 came to us 3 years ago, was the largest sophomore class in Osseo Senior High's history, 820. There were 820 green sophomores that walked in that time. However, they immediately became involved in our activities, and due to their leadership and due to their participation, Osseo Senior High School had a banner year in 1987-88. The class of 1988 helped us win in a variety of activities 12 regional or sectional championships, and they qualified individuals for at least 6 other state contests. In music, in drama, in speech and debate, and in athletics, the class of '88 led the way. I hasten to add that not all their time was spent in activities. They obviously hit the books as well. I am very pleased to announce that as of this afternoon at 1 o'clock, when we return back to the school from rehearsal, I was informed that these young scholars established an academic milestone as well as a milestone in participation in activities. This group has earned over $366,000 in academic scholarships. You can see why we hate to lose them. We are very proud of the class of 1988, and I know that you in the audience are super proud of your special seniors sitting here. To the class of '88, on behalf of the staff of Osseo Senior High School, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for all that you've contributed, things you've contributed to our growth, and the recognition that you brought us. We congratulate you on your accomplishments. And however, I would remind you that very few successful people have reached their goals without some help. Look around at this audience of close to 8,000 people tonight. Take a good look around you. These are the people that supported you. These are the people that yelled at you. They cheered for you. They sweat and cried over you and did whatever was needed to help you be a winner. These are your parents, your relatives, your friends, and your teachers. We all care about you. We think you're special. And when you get a chance, real soon, give them a hug, a round of applause, a standing ovation, whatever, but thank them for caring about you and supporting you to bring you to the point where you are tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special request, basically because we know this is a very emotional evening. We want each senior to have their moment in the spotlight as they receive their diploma. So I'm going to ask that you refrain from yelling and hooting and whistling and screaming or applauding until the entire class has crossed the stage and received their award. I know it's hard to hold back, but please save it to the end. This is a proud moment for each student, and they should have it without any distractions. And I do thank you for your understanding and your cooperation. And now, a very special moment for me as principal of Osseo Senior High School. Board Chairperson Claire Coughlin, Vice Chairperson Adrian Olson, Clerk of the Board Patience Gall. It is my honor to present to you the Osseo Senior High School class of 1988. As the principal of Osseo Senior High School, I hereby certify that these students seated before me have completed the requirements for graduation as set forth by the state of Minnesota in Independent School District 279, and you may now award them their diplomas.
Lori Lee Ahmet,
Michelle Judith Abrazezi,
David Paul Aberwald,
Kelly Ann Accurso,
John Ryland Adams,
Jason Gregory Aiken,
Wesley Edward Albert,
Amy Catherine Aldrich,
Amy Rose Amon,
James Robert Anderley,
Thomas Johann Anderson,
Becky Catherine Anderson,
Grant Allen Anderson,
Holly Joe Anderson,
Jennifer Joyce Anderson,
Jonathan David Anderson,
Lisa Marie Anderson,
Richard Kenneth Anderson,
Tammy Lynn Anderson,
Tracy Lynn Anderson,
Melanie J. Antell,
Joseph Carl Ardolph,
Jason Michael Arndt,
John Christian Armstrong,
Wendy Ann Armstrong,
Kristen Annette Asp,
Kristen Marie Osk,
Amy Lee Axelson,
Deborah Sue Bardson,
Paul Michael Backman,
Jennifer Rose Bagley,
Jonathan Patrick Baki,
Tabitha D. Balfons,
Lisa Marie Barber,
Jelaine Renee Bari,
Jeline Marie Barnes,
Daniel James Barneson,
Melissa Ann Barrows,
Jason Christopher Bartholomew,
Kim Elizabeth Bartos,
Hillary Jude Beckrich,
Brian Daniel Beadle,
Brian David Beal,
Charles Allen Beisner,
Chad Douglas Becken,
Jason Michael Benjamin,
Jennifer Alice Benner,
Joseph Brian Bennett,
Paul David Benson,
Jack E. Berg,
Eric Sumner Bergstrand,
Lee Walter Bergstrom,
James Arick Bernhardt,
Jennifer Lynn Bernew,
Paul Allen Bestland,
Timothy Andrew Betcher,
Nicole Marie Bezedny,
Anne Marie Biagini,
John Gilbert Bjorn,
Ted Andrew Bjorn,
Brandon Forrest Birdsall,
Wayne Douglas Burkholz,
Angela Michelle Blake,
Todd Brian Blanchard,
Brian Gordon Blashik,
Tamara Jean Bloomer,
Brian Scott Bloom,
Wayne Jason Board,
Stephen James Bode,
Sally Joy Bodine,
Corey Allen Bosey,
Mary Beth Bozer,
Bonnie Ann Boone,
Aaron J. Brosh,
Elaine Murray Burke,
Jason Page Branca,
Trent Thomas Brady,
Linda Margit Brandt,
Peter Allen Branchard,
Kristen Robinette Brang,
Nicole Calise Brandt,
Jason Dennis Bredenberg,
Thomas John Braceth,
Rebecca Lynn Brock,
Andrea Susan Brinkman,
Christina Marie Brown,
John Michael Broman,
William Charles Brutlog,
Samuel Paul Brownell,
Heather K. Budnick,
Scott Kenneth Buckhouse,
Matthew Joseph Bush,
Jeffrey Gary Birsch,
Emily Jean Cahill,
Carrie Lee Buss,
Chris Allen Calaguire,
Frank Anthony Caligiuri,
Chad Edward Carlson,
Timothy John Callanan,
Kimberly Nan Carlson,
Christy Lynn Carlson,
Emily Claire Carter Ginn,
Christina Carlson,
Enrique Castaneda,
Kimberly Johanna Cashin,
Robert Dean Caswell,
Robin J. Castle,
Jeffrey Hung Chang,
Christian Pierre Sabelos,
Matthew Brian Christensen,
Derek James Cherney,
Laurel Jane Clare,
Tracy Lynn Churchill,
Kevin Allen Clark,
Don James Clark,
Douglas Todd Cogswell,
Patrick Troy Clements,
Thomas L. Cooley,
Lori Jean Connell,
Gregory Allen Cooper,
Rochelle Annette Cooney,
Timothy Patrick Coughlin,
Thomas John Corey,
Michelle Lee Cowden,
Marilee Alice Cowan,
Cynthia Marie Crane,
Christine Michelle Crabb,
Kira Ian Cronky,
James Patrick Cronin,
Lori A. Cullison,
Bridget Marie Crowley,
Dina Ann Dahl,
Brooke Marine Dahl,
Kevin Michael Dalby,
Jeffrey James Dahlberg,
Kimberly Ann Dansasak,
Melissa May Daly,
Stephen J. Deckman,
Anna Marie Davidson,
Joel Thomas Deem,
Scott Jerome Damaris,
David John Doles,
Brenda Marie Doles,
Michael Todd Dotson,
Frank Nick Donato,
Stephen Todd Douglas,
Jonathan Todd Dotterer,
Christine Marie Draper,
Bradley Douglas Doyle,
Clinton James Dubois,
Darren Keith Drogemiller,
David Neil Durfee,
Patrick Daniel Dunn,
Brian William Dvorak,
Lysandra Lee Durham,
Jennifer Elaine Eggert,
Deborah Ann Ernie,
Tracy Ann Errett,
Jody Lynn Eggert,
Michelle Marie Ellefson,
Karen May Eklund,
Stephen Thomas Elliott,
Donald Paul Ellingson,
Paul Richard Enestvedt,
Jolene Renee Emmerich,
Judd Walter Erickson,
Kurt Thomas Ingebrigtsen,
Timothy David Ernst,
Susan Ann Erickson,
Elizabeth Ann Essen,
Jody Ann Ernson,
Tracy Danette Evavold,
Jeffrey Paul Essen,
Russell John Fairbanks,
Ken Lee Evenson,
Stuart Paul Fila,
Kelly Gray Farrell,
Cassandra K. Furco,
Melissa Marie Farver,
Michael Scott Fieldhammer,
Christopher Harold Fellerman,
and Marie Elizabeth Philippi,
Catherine Emma Ferguson,
Mark Anton Fisher,
David John Furkey,
Sheila Rosemary Fisher,
Corey William Fisher,
Michelle Elaine Fleming,
Jane Amy Fisher,
Toby Dean Folwick,
Laura Lee Fitch,
Jason Allen Forsell,
Brian Jerome Flory,
Paul Gordon Foss,
Jacqueline Lee Farrar,
Dean Edmund Freeler,
Michelle Lynn Foss,
Paul Anthony Fulkerson,
Teresa Jean Foster,
Angela Dawn Fuhr,
Susan Marie Fromm,
Vinicio F. Garcia,
Paul Andrew Fuller,
Lisa Renee Gertis,
Bethann Marie Gall,
James Lee Gill,
Anne Marie Gardner,
Mary Ellen Gleason,
Rochelle Lynn Grofer,
Todd Allen Golden,
Ronald Scott Glasgow,
Jose Enrique Gomez,
Gretchen Marie Nifke,
Christopher P. Gradler,
Angelica Gomez,
James Stewart Grange,
David Randall Gottwald,
Kevin Wayne Graving,
Travis J. Grams,
Brent William Gruffy,
Brett Allen Grantham,
John Sterling Gravoy,
Michelle Lee Green,
Todd Allen Grupp,
Amy Lynn Gregg,
Krista Louise Guthier,
Stacy Lee Grahowski,
Mary Elizabeth Geyer,
Tiffany Therese Guerra,
Tammy Lynn Hapia,
Elizabeth Valerie Guyat,
Imtiaz Hakim,
Nicola Elgin Hogg,
Dave W. Hallen,
Robert Matthew Hackle,
Timothy Michael Hammett,
Monica Marie Hall,
Julie Ann Hammond,
Eric John Halverson,
Quinn Allen Hansen,
Eric Stephen Hamburg,
Denise Jill Harrison,
P. Mitchell Hansen,
Corrine Ann Hatcher,
Deborah Joy Harrison,
Pamela K. Hatton,
Anthony Edward Hayes,
Donald Terry Henderson,
Jason Douglas Hatling,
Julie Karen Hendrickson,
Dean Martin Heltemus,
Melanie Ann Henningsgaard,
Jameson D. Hendricks,
Wade Albert Herbranson,
Sissel Heng,
Douglas James Herman,
Kelly May Herbig,
Gretchen Louise Hickel,
Dana Ann Herman,
Eric David Hintz,
Lisa Marie Hester,
Lisa Marie Hoffman,
Brian Keith High,
Tracy Michelle Hogan,
Eric Christian Hofer,
Christopher John Hall,
Timothy Dale Hoffmaster,
Travis Dane Holmes,
Troy Douglas Hogan,
Lawrence John Holman,
James Dennis Holmberg,
Thomas Robert Hosted,
Marty Leroy Holmquist,
Stephen Joseph Hood,
Jennifer Evelyn Hoppert,
Brant Quinn Howard,
Leanne Marie Hood,
Susanna Eva Marie Hush,
Tracy Lynn Hovde,
Michael John Houston,
Kevin Allen Hupenbecker,
Toby Jean Jablonski,
David Dwayne Huffnagel,
Rachel Anna Jankowski,
Noreen Charlotte Iverson,
David Lawrence Jensen,
Stephen Donald Jackson,
David Patrick John,
Jeffrey Walter Jarnberg,
Frederick Raymond Johnson,
Julie Annette Jensen,
Carrie Ann Johnson,
Cynthia Ann Johnson,
Pamela June Johnson,
James Joseph Johnson,
Timothy Daniel Johnson,
Monty Allen Johnson,
Jeffrey Wade Jones,
Teresa Marion Johnson,
Jeremy David Jordat,
Jeffrey Allen Jones,
Jean Ann Joseph,
Jill Elizabeth Jones,
Andrew Christopher Joy,
Torsten Oliver Yores,
Mary Beth Ann Joyer,
Byron Christian Jost,
John Paul Cappers,
Sheila Ann Joy,
David Michael Kiefer,
Dennis Bernard Cans,
Mark Joel Kelly,
Donnie Lynn Casper,
Tracy Ann Kelly,
Chad Michael Keller,
Tracy Ann Kick,
Brian David Kelly,
Benjamin Lee Kiffmeyer,
Carolyn Marie Keski,
Stephanie Lynn Kimball,
Kurt J. Keywell,
Jeffrey Craig Kinney,
Kathleen Francis Killian,
Mary Sophia Kish,
Wendy Jean Kimpton,
Lori Jean Close,
Amy Renee Kirchhoff,
Robert Thomas Neef,
David Emmanuel Klein,
Michelle Ann Nolenberg,
Sarah Lynn Knapp,
Bridget Mary Kohler,
Stephen Darrell Niss,
Anthony Lee Corbell,
Carrie Marvin Knox,
Heike Suzanne Kramer,
Free College,
Tamra Jean Kramer,
Scott Anthony Copendrayer,
Carrie Lee Kryman,
Michael Donald Crake,
Daniel John Crone,
Christy Marie Kramer,
Tracy Lynn Custerman,
Heidi K. Cry,
Ronald Scott Lake,
Tammy Joe Crone,
Julie K. Land,
Mark Allen Kuhn,
Kevin James Langton,
Sean John Cutney,
Russell David LaPlante,
Deborah Michelle Lawlick,
Christopher Allen Larson,
Thomas Matthew Land,
Corrine Ann Larson,
Kevin Irwin Lansendorf,
Eric Walter Larson,
Andrew James Larson,
Peter Andrew Larson,
Anver Lester Larson,
Michael Thomas Lau,
Eric Windsor Larson,
Suzanne Marie Lawless,
Mary Lee Larson,
Christine Jean Lee,
Lisa Marie Leisure,
Keith Ronald Lurkey,
Wendy Ann Laum,
Michelle LaRae Lemon,
Heidi K. Lee,
Jennifer Ann Lerfald,
Kwang Ho Lee,
Anthony Lawrence Libby,
Jeffrey Edward Lines,
Byron John Linder,
Bradley David Leonard,
Francisco Lalinde Lisbona,
Jane Cooley Lewis,
Lynn Elizabeth Loff,
Candace Marie Lindblom,
Richard Keith Lopez,
Carrie S. Lockwood,
Jill Louise Losey,
Miley Marie Locke,
Garth Wendell Lotz,
Stephanie Ann Lawrenson,
Anne Marie Lucht,
Letitia M. Lothian,
Amy Lee Ludeman,
Corey Dane Lotzer,
Betsy Marie Lundberg,
Jose Felipe Ludens,
Christopher Eric Lutter.
Jason Andrew Lund.
C. J. Lingen.
Kelly Ann Lundell.
Tony James McDonald.
Robert Dean Lux.
Brady Daniel Madsen.
Stephen J. Lyons.
Stephen Lee Major.
Cara Ian Mackin.
William Robert Malone.
John Charles Madison II.
David Arthur Marganow.
Daryl J. Mallon.
Julie Ann Mark.
Sabina Nicoletta Mancini.
Robert John Marshall.
Christy L. Margison.
Jennifer Lynn Mayercheck.
Tom M. Markgraf.
John Charles McCaffrey.
Anne Louise Maslowski.
Martin Allen McCormick.
Kyle Dean McBride.
Melissa Ann McDonald.
Gary Wayne McCormick.
Kelly Ann McGlynn.
Colleen Marie McDonald.
Brooks Patrick McLeod.
Curtis Lauren McDowell.
Lori L. Mead.
Michael Lee McGuire.
Erin Elizabeth Megan.
Melissa Ann McMillan.
Tammy Marie Meinke.
Lynn Marie Michaels.
Holly Joe Merritt.
Gregory John Meyer.
Sarah Ann Meyer.
Lynette Michelle Ment.
Kim Colleen Miller.
Anne Marie Meyer.
Ronald Francis Miller.
Jamie Lee Miller.
David Patrick Milligan.
Lynn Marie Miller.
Christopher Stephen Modine.
Troy Robert Miller.
James Richard Malachek.
William Craig Mitchell.
Andrea Lee Moriarty.
Radine Marie Moan.
Jonathan William Mortrude.
John Raymond Monahan.
Daniel Gary Moss.
Melanie Ann Maritko.
Jacqueline Beth Mueller.
Kimberly Louise Mosby.
Timothy Andrew Mundall.
Heidi Ann Musette.
Britton Michael Murray.
David Paul Mundall.
Jimmy Vance Myers.
Nanette Joanne Murphy.
Deborah Renee Nadeau.
Stephanie K. Murrow.
Andrea Jean Nelson.
Lubomir Roman Mikulek.
Kyle Reed Nelson.
Michael William Neal.
Renee Eileen Nelson.
Brian Eric Nelson.
Sarah Jean Newberger.
Michelle Marie Nelson.
John Ralph Newman.
Stephen Homer Nelson.
Penny Renee Newell.
Patricia Lynn Newman.
Paula K. Nitz.
Philip Andrew Newer.
Kevin John Nordstrom.
Derek Allen Newman.
Stephen David Norman.
Judd Theodore Nordquist.
Tammy Elizabeth Novak.
Linda Marie Norman.
Amy Michelle Newts.
Michael Edward Noto.
Sarah Beth Obermiller.
Jennifer Ann Novicus.
Rachel Elaine Ogden.
Audra Diane Nyland.
Anita Maria Olson.
Matthew Thomas O'Brien.
Laura Jean Olson.
Gabriel Stephen Oliva.
Melody Ray Olson.
Jennifer J. Olson.
Rhonda Jean Olson.
Mark David Olson.
Robert Eric Orlikowski.
Michael Allen Olson.
Mark Ryan Ostley.
Stephen Roger Olson.
Angela Marie Otteson.
Joel Thomas Orn.
Glee LaRae Ponch.
Nicole Marie Otto.
John Edward Patterson.
Gina Marie Palm,
Thor Eric Paulson,
Holly Jeanette Pronto,
Michael John Pavlov,
Patrick Joseph Patterson,
Deanna May Pipe,
Andrew J. Pavlish,
Dean Allen Peterson,
Christopher Alban Pearson,
Christine Marie Peterson,
Andrew Marcel Pence,
Tamara Jo Peterson,
Kristen Ann Peterson,
Mary Jo Fannenstein,
Shane Douglas Peterson,
Nicole Andre Pomerleau,
John Wesley Petron,
Michael Anton Porter,
Leslie Ann Fow,
Julie Ann Postumus,
Chad Mitchell Poole,
Daniel Edward Prell,
Dawn Renee Poshek,
Lisa Marie Quick,
Penelope Lynn Presley,
Roxanne Kathleen Ramler,
Gregory Bain Pursley,
Travis John Rance,
Lynn Marie Quine,
Rusano Marquis Reese,
Michael David Ranello,
Jeffrey John Reynolds,
Robert Martin Redden,
Brett Thomas Rischel,
Teresa Marie Retka,
James A. Frankenberger,
Gretchen Ann Ribby,
Amy Sue Robinette,
Timothy Alvin Rickamoto,
Todd Lawrence Rail,
Jeffrey Paul Roberson,
Michelle Lynn Runglin,
Jeffrey Dennis Robinson,
Chad Michael Ross,
William Leslie Romer,
Victoria Ruth Saline,
Ann Kirsten Rondesved,
Tracy Lynn Sanzone,
Kristen Joy Rotter,
Keith Bradley Sawyer,
Sherry Ann Rutkowski,
Beth Ann Schaefer,
Gary Raymond Sandberg,
Carrie Marie Schiltz,
Michael Gordon Sather,
Stephanie Ann Schmidt,
Keith Allen Shad,
Laura Dorothea Schneider,
Teresa K. Schaller,
Diana K. Scheller,
Robert Schimmel,
Wendy Lynn Schreiber,
David Allen Schneider,
Jennifer M. Schuster,
Irene Isle Schober,
Nathan Helgi Seberg,
John P. Schrantz,
Angelique J. Seifert,
Darren Michael Schuster,
Sean Michael Seuter,
Timothy J. Schwartz,
Neil Arthur Shade,
Corey Paul Sedor,
Michael Joseph Shaughnessy Jr.,
Rodney Jesse Seitz,
Jeffrey Michael Sigler,
Jennifer Ann Severson,
Parvinder Kaur Sikka,
Amit Mahendra Shah,
Brian Christopher Simmons,
Gregory Paul Sheets Jr.,
Vasant Sivan,
Kristen Lee Sigurdsson,
Don Rochelle Severson,
Sheldon Troy Silva,
Jennifer Jean Smith,
Daniel Gary Sink,
Rochelle Lee Smith,
Janaki Sivanasan,
Todd Michael Sorg,
Brandy Wine Smith,
Brian Timothy Springer,
Lori Marie Smith,
Patricia C. Stein,
Scott Robert Smith,
Shelley Ann Stepney,
Jason Matthew Spone,
Trevor Crusoe Stieg,
Laura K. Stoffaker,
Dean Thomas Street,
Carrie Marie Stevens,
Janelle Louise Stevie,
Kendra Arlene Stewart,
Karen Elizabeth Sullivan,
Julie Renee Stoll,
Nicole Jolene Suter,
Jennifer Lynn Strong,
Scott Randall Sutton,
Jana Sue Stump,
Darren Jason Swanberg,
Jennifer Lynn Sunland,
Peter C. Swanson.
Martin Lee Sutherland,
Amy Catherine Swenson.
Mark Edward Zvitok,
Barry Thomas Sykes.
Jennifer Alyssa Swanson,
Claudine Ann Tess.
Brian Scott Swedeen,
Michael Todd Thiessen.
Denise Christine Swenson,
Bruce John Thorson.
Victoria Lynn Taylor,
Pamela Jean Tillman.
Jill Joanne Tice,
Juan Miguel Tolentino II.
James Lewis Thomas Jr.,
Richard John Trout.
Kelly Ann Tinner,
Todd August Truey.
James William Tishner,
Bobby Jane Turner.
Lone Kim Trin,
Brian Christopher Twido.
J. Jeffrey Trashensky,
Jeffrey Daniel Unger.
Tiffany Turley,
Jody Marlene Van Gilder.
Michelle Elaine Turner,
Tina Marie Villa.
Julie Ann Ufford,
Richard Edward Voigt.
Jeremy James Uzel,
John Everett Velasic.
Richard Nicholas Van Houten,
Heather Lee Rhea Wall.
Don Renee Vincent,
Nicholas Todd Wallish.
Kenneth Paul Voller,
Kimberly Lynn Walsh.
Heidi Ann Wagner,
Lorna Ann Warburg.
Michael Albert Waich,
John Robert Ward.
Todd Charles Walker,
Angela Marie Weber.
Melissa Ann Walters,
Susan Marie Weber.
Bethany Allen Ward,
Deanna Lynn Werner.
Charles William Warnemundy,
Deanna Ray Wesley.
Kelly Ann Weber,
Anita Claudine Westberg.
Todd Michael Weiner,
Peter Todd Westland.
Eric Lee Werner,
Randy Michael Whips.
Oko Lee West,
Scott Gordon Whitehead.
Matthew Thomas Westgard,
Shelley Ann Wilder.
Nicolee Cataline Wheeler,
Deborah Ann Willette.
Mark Allen White,
Kevin Lee Williams.
Frank Joseph Willery,
Matthew Thomas Wills.
Lori Lynn Wiley,
Lisa Marie Wirtz.
Jennifer Lee Williams,
David Joel Woloshin.
Lance Michael Williams,
Donna Ray Woolley.
Stacy Ann Wilmot,
Michelle Lavon Wright.
Tara Nicole Wurz,
David Bruce Younglove.
Aaron Christopher Wong,
Mark Thomas Zamek.
Christy Lynn Rasper,
Julie Marie Zimmer.
Devin Dean Youngbauer,
Daryl A. Zemeskal.
Darnell Jean Zachman,
Jason Kenneth Zappi.
Christina Catherine Zaff, Stephen Roy Zimmerman, Corey John Zoll,